Johnny Mir here, and today we're going to be discussing why 2025 will be the biggest year of gaming. I know, if you guys have been following this channel for the last couple years, you guys know every year I kind of make like a statement like, oh, this year will be the best year gaming, this year will be the most fun year gaming, this one will be my favorite year gaming, blah, 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 blah. Well, guess what? I'm back with another statement of the century. Ladies and gentlemen, I do believe 2025 is shaping up to be the biggest year of gaming ever. I mean, we just are off of 2023, which was considered to be one of the best years in gaming just from fans worldwide. But at the same time, it was also a really bad year in gaming because of all the layoffs and just things that happened in the industry. But in terms of the games, and that's what we're here talking about today, in terms of the games, 2023 was one of the best years in gaming. This year is shaping up to be one of my favorites. I'm not going to lie. I've had so many games I've absolutely loved this year. But next year, if we look at the facts, if we look at what's already lined up, and we still have 6 months to go for 2024, 2025 is shaping up to be the biggest year in gaming. We're going to go ahead and talk about that. I'm going to go fully in depth with every game completely confirmed for 2025, and we're going to go through every game that could possibly release in 2025, give reasons of why I think there might be a chance for it. There's a lot of games. We're going to be talking about a lot of games. Be prepared to be excited by the end of this video because, ladies and gentlemen, if you love gaming, because I know I love gaming, consider subscribing. Taking a look at my channel, we got a ton of topics we're going to be talking about throughout the next couple months, throughout the year, throughout forever, because gaming is sticking around, hopefully forever. You never know, bro. But we're here. Thank you all so much for all the support you give me, no matter how you do it. I appreciate it. But let's get talking about what 2025, sorry, I almost said 2024, has to offer. So, I know this is probably something that, everyone's expecting, so I'm just going to go and say it. The biggest reason for why 2025 will be the biggest year of gaming is GTA 6. Let's just be honest, you could make the whole debate just off of that game. Just off of that game alone, GTA 6 is going to be definitively, there is no if, and, or buts about it. It is the biggest game of all time. It is the most anticipated game of all time. And it probably is the most sought after game of all time. There is really no other franchise, no other game that you could possibly bring into existence that would rival the amount of hype and anticipation that there is for GTA 6. Let alone, who knows the kind of numbers GTA 6 is going to put up. Let's be real here. Rockstar has been one of the top developers for the past decades. They have delivered high-quality games, GTA 5 being one of them. That came out in, 2013, I think? Over a decade ago, and it is still, in 2024, one of the highest-selling games of the year. It is one of the highest-selling games of all time. Match that with the recently released, or not recently at this point, 2018 release of Red Dead Redemption 2. That was one of the highest critically acclaimed games ever. It was another very, very successful game. Maybe not as big in terms of numbers compared to GTA, but let's be honest, GTA is way bigger than Red Dead Redemption 2. Therefore, the wait has been forever for GTA 6, and it is finally here. Coming out in, they have confirmed 2025, and they have said that they're very, very confident that it will release in 2025. So GTA 6 automatically is something that is going to be used as the biggest advantage point when it comes to 2025 compared to any other year, and that's just the first game. Ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to another franchise that is just like GTA, sells units, and is massive. It's a global event every time this franchise drops a game, and that is Pokemon. Pokemon is the highest grossing media franchise of all time, not just in terms of video games, in terms of collectibles, toys, TV shows, everything. It is the highest grossing media franchise of all time, and we are getting a game that everybody is super duper excited about with Pokemon Legends ZA. So right there already, we're getting two of some of the biggest, highest selling franchises of all time. Let's talk about another thing that is extremely high selling, especially when it comes to the Japanese market, and that is Monster Hunter Wilds. This is also confirmed for 2025, and let's be real again, Monster Hunter World was one of the most played bought games of last generation. Monster Hunter Rise was great. There's been a lot of anticipation for the sequel to that, and here we are with Monster Hunter Wilds. Capcom has been on an absolute roll recently, and they're releasing Monster Hunter Wilds next year, and it should be just as big, if not bigger, and I do imagine it will be bigger, and I am super duper excited for that. Let's take a look at another franchise that may not be the biggest franchise in the world, but there's a lot of excitement for this, and that is Doom. Doom is making its comeback in 2025. Not comeback, its return in 2025 with Doom The Dark Ages. This is currently my most anticipated game, but just knowing the pedigree that Doom Eternal had, the amount of units that it sold, and the critical acclaim that it got, I can't imagine Doom The Dark Ages will be anything short of massive when it releases in 2025. Another game that I want to pay attention to, especially when it comes to the Xbox side of things, is Fable. This has been one of Xbox's most anticipated games ever since they announced their whole new lineup back in 2020. Fable is finally coming back. It is one of the most beloved Xbox series of all time, and it unfortunately went dead for quite a while, and this is the ultimate comeback for the Fable franchise, and it's being made by the Forza Horizon studio. Forza Horizon Studio has basically never missed. They have always put out 9 or above games. They are fantastic, and they're finally making Fable, and it just looks stellar, and I know this is going to be an absolute huge game. By the way, Doom and Fable will both be available on Game Pass day one, meaning so many players worldwide are going to be able to get access to that day one. Talk about another huge franchise. This is going to be a new game, a little bit of an original concept, but because of the IP that's behind it, I do imagine this is going to have a lot of attention, and that is Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra. This is a Captain America and Black Panther game, and honestly, this was a game I wasn't excited for at first, but after seeing the trailer, and after everybody's really seen the trailer, everybody kind of agrees. This actually has some excitement to it because that trailer looked so good, and that's what good games do to the product. If it is a good game, people will pay attention, people will buy it, and I feel like that is what's going to happen with Marvel 1943. It was kind of a concept that no one really asked for, but now that we see it, we're all ready for it, and I cannot wait to play Marvel 1943 in 2025. Going back to Nintendo, one of their most anticipated games, honestly, that I can remember is Metroid Prime 4. We've waited since 2017. It restarted development, and Metroid Prime 4 was officially shown off recently at the Nintendo Direct, titled Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, and was confirmed to get a 2025 release date. Now, we're going to be talking about Nintendo later for another reason why 2025 will be the biggest year, possibly the best year, who knows, you never know, of gaming, but Metroid Prime 4, nonetheless, is going to be very exciting. It is also one of my most anticipated games as of right now. And, yeah, this has just been a wait that I hope is going to be well worth it. And from what we've seen, looks to be well worth it. This is going to be absolutely massive. This is going to be one of probably the best-looking Nintendo games ever in terms of a technical performance standpoint. Let's talk about another game from one of the biggest, best, in my opinion, the greatest of all time video game creator, Hideo Kojima. He is releasing Death Stranding 2 on the beach in 2025. This is coming off of Death Stranding 1, which was nominated for Game of the Year and which was a huge success commercially and I would say critically. There are people who, the genre of game that it is more niche and hit or miss, but for the most part, this was an outstanding game adored by many, many people, and this game looks to just up the ante and up the stakes by 10, and I'm super duper excited to see what Death Stranding 2 has in store this time around. Alright, there were some big games there, but now let's take a look at some smaller games that are also confirmed. I don't even want to say smaller, because some of these games could end up being huge. Some of these games could end up being phenomenal, but these are games that have less of a reputation when it comes to the IP it's attached to or the franchise it's attached to. A lot of these are new IPs, and I feel like that is why, again, 2025 will be such a great year in gaming. There are so many new IPs that we need to pay attention to, starting off with Expedition 33, or Clair Obscure's Expedition 33. I just posted a video on the channel about Expedition 33, about how big of a surprise this game is. It just looks absolutely phenomenal. Turn-based RPG. It looks like it's going to hit the spot. South of Midnight also is a very unique art style, releasing day one to Game Pass, another Xbox exclusive, releasing in 2025. Judas, the creators behind BioShock, or at least from like the studio, I'm pretty sure it's from the creators of BioShock, spun off, made their own studio, and now they're making Judas, and it just looks fantastic. We have Dynasty Warriors Origins. This is a franchise that is loved by a lot, and it's getting another entry when it's kind of been a while. This is something that is much needed for that fan base. Little Nightmares 3 is also coming out. I'm actually a big fan of the Little Nightmares series, and I know there is a large community for that game. We have, and speaking of a large community, Civilization 7. Now, I'm personally not the biggest fan of these types of games, but I can't deny how massive the community and market is for games like this. Civilization 7 is going to be massive. I wouldn't be surprised if it's one of the highest played, wish-listed, pre-ordered games of next year. It's going to be massive. Dragon Quest fans are finally getting some stuff. They're getting Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D remake this year, but next year we're getting Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D remake. It's going to be very, very exciting. Greedfall 2, a sequel to a game that, you know, it was pretty good the year it came out, but I definitely think everyone agrees when it comes to sequel, there is a lot of room for improvement, and I think that is what's so exciting. The potential is there. Mixtape was another game showed at the Xbox Showcase, confirmed for 2025, that hit a lot of the right notes for a lot of people. This one definitely is going to have some anticipation leading up to it. Crimson Desert is another very highly anticipated game that we've seen at multiple events, and they've been hyping up as the next evolution of action RPGs, and it does look pretty great. Adam Fall is a weird one that I think people are kind of sleeping on. I think it actually has a very interesting look to it. I think it could end up being a fun little release next year. Donkey Kong Country Returns HD is also confirmed for next year, January, actually. And, you know, whether you're a fan of these ports or not, for people who have yet to play this game, this is going to be an interesting release, to say the least. And it is a big franchise stuck behind that. Fatal Fury City of Wolves is a big fighting game that's going to be releasing next year. I know there's a lot of hype behind that game as well. Those are all the pretty big games that are officially confirmed to be 2025. There is a trailer that says 2025, or a studio or dev or the company itself has stated that this will come out in 2025. Now gets the interesting part. What else could release in 2025? And I have a lot of options here. But I think all these options I have here have at least some kind of merit or some kind of evidence behind it that could lead to it possibly making sense for releasing in 2025. The first one being, I think, the most obvious, Metal Gear Solid Delta. We thought it was going to be releasing this year, but after getting a trailer at the Xbox event without a release date, without even saying 2024, a lot of us are assuming that it is going to get delayed into 2025, and honestly, with how jam-packed the second half of 2024 is looking, it wouldn't make sense for Metal Gear Solid to just sneak its way into maybe early 2025, be that big opening game of the year, especially since Metal Gear has been on hiatus for so long, and there is so much anticipation for it. Recently, there have been reports that Gears of War E-Day is actually sooner than we may think, and that personally really excites me, because Gears of War is my favorite Xbox franchise, and I'm super duper excited. Currently replaying all the Gears of War games right now. Oh boy, I am very, very excited for that. So honestly, at this point, I think Gears of War E-Day could possibly have a chance at releasing in 2025. And if we look at Xbox's lineup, South of Midnight, Fable, and Doom: The Dark Ages are the only actual confirmed Xbox game, first-party games releasing next year. They have already said that they want at least one big AAA release every quarter, and you know, if they're trying to fill that quarter, I don't know if they consider South of Midnight one of those titles, but Doom and Fable definitely are. But we're gonna need some other ones to fill some of those corners. It could end up being Gears of War E-Day. Let's take a look at another company here. Let's go to Ubisoft. Their next year is kind of a question mark, especially after 2024, which seems to be like their biggest year ever, with something like Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, which is my current game of the year contender, and they have Star Wars Outlaws and Assassin's Creed Shadows releasing later this year. They are just having one heck of a year right now. So, but right now they have nothing confirmed for 2025. But we know Ubisoft, they're one of the biggest publishers out there. They're going to have something, and I think some good options. Right now, my front runner is going to be Far Cry 7. 2021 was Far Cry 6, and usually they release these games at a pretty, consistent schedule, and I do think Far Cry 7 is probably far along. We've heard about concepts for years now for it, and I wouldn't be surprised if that is the big Ubisoft game releasing next year. But I'm gonna have my hopes up for possibly the Splinter Cell remake. We've known about this forever. Where is this game? Splinter Cell needs to come back. It is one of my favorite Ubisoft franchises. And boy, this would be absolutely awesome for Ubisoft to have. Far Cry 7 and Splinter Cell would just be two awesome games to have in 2025. That would be a really great year for Ubisoft, in my opinion. Moving to the indie side, we have Replaced. Replaced has really been on hiatus. They have not really given us an update or showed a new trailer in a long time. It was originally confirmed to come out in 2022, got delayed to 2023, got delayed to 2024, and we haven't heard about it now, so we're pretty much assuming that it's going to be 2025 right about now. Same thing with Phantom Blade Zero. We heard about it last year, then we heard about it this year, but still no release date. But there have been a lot of hands-on previews, and there have been a lot of demos, and there have been a lot of showings and footage and just information about the game. It seems like the game is super duper far along, and they're very confident in the product they have. I wouldn't be surprised if it does release in 2025. Something we can pretty much check off our list that is going to release in 2025 is the yearly annual release of Call of Duty. There's going to be a 2025 release of Call of Duty unless Xbox decides to change the whole pattern and do something different, which I wouldn't be opposed to. But as of right now, we're going to expect a Call of Duty in 2025. Going back to the indie side of things, we have Earthblade, the developers behind Celeste. This game looks really, really awesome. I'm very, very interested to see more of this game. And Hollow Knight Silksong, one of the biggest, most anticipated games right now because we just don't know where the heck this game is, and there's so much hype behind it. But I can't imagine that it will be coming sometime next year. If not, maybe even the second half of this year, but I'm going to bank on 2025. Ark 2, again, a game that we heard about a long time ago, but we have just yet to hear anything. Really, we got like a little CG trailer, and then they basically said it was delayed to this year, but we haven't heard anything this year, so I'm going to assume it's also going to be delayed again to 2025. Now, here are some sequels that I'm going to bring out that I think have a chance of releasing in 2025. Are some of these long shots? Yes. But these aren't completely out of the picture. The first one is going to be Borderlands 4. We know they're working on new Borderlands, and we know the Borderlands movie and a bunch of other Borderlands things are coming out soon. So I wouldn't be surprised if they want to capitalize on all that momentum and hype for the Borderlands series and release the next mainline entry in the franchise. Borderlands 3 was a huge success, and I wouldn't be surprised if Borderlands 4 is their next move. Ghost of Tsushima 2. You guys know Ghost of Tsushima is my favorite game of all time. This would be an absolute dream if it does end up releasing in 2025, because honestly, if that happens, it definitely might solidify that 2025 will be my favorite year of gaming. I mean, let's just be honest here. Ghost of Tsushima 2, PlayStation has been completely dry for a long time. They've had their couple games every year. Astro Bot is their game this year that is, you know, the one that everyone's most excited about. But next year, I have a feeling they're going to go back to releasing some bigger games on a more frequent basis throughout the year. And I do believe one of those will be Ghost of Tsushima 2, and I can't be more excited for it. And then another game I do think that they could release is Venom. I think it could be a pretty much like a Miles Morales type game when it comes to the Spider-Man franchise, but it's going to be focused on Venom, and you're going to be playing as Venom. That's going to be really awesome. That was in the Insomniac leak, so that one definitely has a lot of credit and merit for it to happen, but we'll just have to see. And then these two are some JRPGs that I think could get sequels that I think we haven't heard for in a long time, and the timing just kind of seems right for these. First one being Persona 6. We've all been expecting an announcement at like every Jeff Keighley event, and it's just not happened. I do think this year's Game Awards might be the time, but Persona 6 I think has a chance of releasing in 2025, and that would just be absolutely massive. Same thing goes for Kingdom Hearts 4. We heard about this game forever ago, and we've yet to get an update, but we've heard some reports that it's coming along quite fairly and that it might be even closer to finish than we may think, so who knows? We could see it in 2025. We got Resident Evils. There's a lot of rumors going around about Resident Evils. We have possibly Resident Evil 9, Resident Evil 0 remake, Resident Evil 1 remake. We even have Resident Evil Code Veronica remake, which seems to be the frontrunner for most possibilities. There could be who knows what we could get from Resident Evil. All we know is Resident Evil is very consistent when it comes to releasing games and is very consistent in terms of quality. So this would be a big release for next year. And speaking of remakes, actually, Ubisoft just confirmed that there are Assassin's Creed remakes, as in plural, in development and that are pretty far along. Back to what I said about Ubisoft, next year is kind of a question mark. I wouldn't be surprised if they fill up some of that space with a remake or two of Assassin's Creed games, especially after Assassin's Creed Shadows. A lot of people who aren't necessarily into Assassin's Creed are going to be playing that. That might be their entry point into Assassin's Creed. Releasing remakes after Assassin's Creed Shadow, probably going to be the biggest Assassin's Creed game ever. To have that gateway to go back and play some of the earlier ones and help try and fall in love with the franchise, I think would be a good idea. And the rumor right now is either Assassin's Creed 1, 2, or Black Flag. And I wouldn't be surprised about any of those. Personally hoping for Black Flag. Battlefield, man, it's been since 2020, since the huge Battlefield flop 2042, and I do think now is a good time to bring back Battlefield. It'd be a five-year gap. Call of Duty's killing it. Battlefield needs to come back in a big way, and I do think we have heard so many reports about Battlefield coming along. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 2025. The next thing we are going to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, is Amazon. That's right. Amazon has just recently came out and reported that a new Lord of the Rings game is very far along and that we should expect a reveal of that game soon. Same thing goes for a Tomb Raider game. Now, we all know that Amazon recently acquired the IP of Tomb Raider from Square Enix, and they are working on a new AAA mainline game in the Tomb Raider franchise. I wouldn't be surprised if we maybe hear about both of these at either Gamescom. I think Lord of the Rings has a chance at being at Gamescom, and then I think Tomb Raider will be at the Game Awards. Tomb Raider just seems like a slam dunk option for the Game Awards, and I do think there is a very, very good chance of this happening. So, now we get to some of the more interesting things of why 2025 could end up being the biggest year. Of course, we have events throughout the entirety of the year. Those are always exciting. We still have events this year. We have Gamescom. We have possibly a Sony showcase in September, probably another Nintendo Direct in September, and we have the Game Awards in December. Who knows if anybody other companies do anything else this year. But what we do know is that next year, hardware-wise, could end up being huge, and which could give us another hint at some other games that could release in 2025. The first one being the PS5 Pro. Now, if the PS5 Pro releases it this year, that's fine. That's a different story. There is a chance that the PS5 Pro could release next year, and if that's the case, we know PlayStation's going to have at least a big game to go side and side with it to help push it and to help showcase the visuals that it could have. And so I think if the PS5 Pro does happen, I would expect something like Ghost of Tsushima 2 or Venom to be launched alongside it to help showcase what the PS5 Pro could do. The next handheld, which I think would be really, really exciting and huge for 2025, it'd be a historical landmark for what 2025 could be, and that is that the rumored Xbox handheld. There have been a lot of rumors, a lot of speculation, a lot of reports that Xbox is working on a handheld device that will play Xbox games natively. That is super duper exciting, and that is something I absolutely want. I don't think this would necessarily give hint to any kind of games that would be releasing, but this would nonetheless be just a really awesome thing to happen in 2025. That would be just awesome for gaming as a whole. But this is where the big one strikes. Nintendo is releasing their next generation console in 2025. It's not technically confirmed, but it's like 99.9% confidence in everybody that they are going to be releasing their next console in 2025. The rumor right now is early in 2025. Now, the thing is, this gives clear indications of what we could expect for some big games coming out in 2025. The obvious one being a new 3D Mario. It's been since 2017. It's been since Mario Odyssey, unless you include Bowser's Fury, which I don't. It has been since 2017, since the next big mainline 3D Mario game, and it's just time, and it is the perfect game to release alongside a Switch. And we've heard leaks, and we've heard rumors about possibly Odyssey 2 or something else. It's time, and 2025 will be that year. Something else I would assume is possibly a new Mario Kart game. Mario Kart is the biggest Nintendo franchise, honestly, right now. It's the highest selling. There is no other franchise that they could put on the Switch to make like 75% of their audience automatically want to buy a Switch 2. It is just the quintessential, you need to have this game. That is the definition of Mario Kart. You need to have it. And then another thing I'm going to say is the Zelda ports. I do believe the Zelda ports will be released either early next year or alongside the Switch, just to get some Zelda games on the new hardware. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a new Donkey Kong game. Obviously, we're getting Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. Wouldn't be surprised if we get Metroid Prime 2 or 3 remastered. There is really so many possibilities for what we could see from Nintendo, but it's very, very exciting. So if you take all the games that are just confirmed, some of the biggest, highest selling franchises are coming back with new installments in 2025. New IPs are thriving in 2025. Indie games are going to be hitting the ceiling in 2025. We have sequels from critically acclaimed franchises, from underrated franchises. We have tons of Game Pass Day 1 games. We have a bunch of rumors and leaks about possible big games releasing in 2025. We have new hardwares that could end up being very, very exciting throughout the entirety of the year. And we have events still to come this year that could bring us even more 2025 confirmed games. These are all reasons why I do believe 2025 will just be absolutely insane. But you guys let me know what you think in the comments down below. Let me know, what are some of your most anticipated things, or what are some games that you think have a chance at releasing in 2025? I would love to know. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Johnny Moore out. Peace.